Hi, my name is Brittany J. Jones. In this video, we will be sewing along to the new McCall's pattern M8368 and M8369. These are the same exact patterns, they're just available in different sizes. This size envelope is for extra small through extra large, and this size right here is from 1X to 5X. I will be sewing along to view B from both of these patterns in this sew along. Let's get started. For fabric recommendations, if you need any ideas on suggested fabrics, remember you can always look on the back of the pattern envelope. This fabric recommends athletic knits, cotton knits, and rib knits. You also have a few notions here that you need to pick up to complete these projects. Let's go ahead and get started sewing view B. To begin, we're going to start working on pattern piece number 6. This is our front. So I have mine here. The first thing that we want to do is along this curved lower edge, we want to finish this with a 5/8 of an inch narrow hem. So you can go to your pressing station and go ahead and press up 5/8 of an inch. Once you have that pressed up, we can go ahead and stitch it in place. Okay, I've pressed my narrow hem in place. If your fabric wants to unroll, you can grab some pins to kind of make sure that your 5/8 of an inch narrow hem stays in place. I'm going to head to my sewing machine now, and I'm just going to stitch right along this inner fold to secure our 5/8 of an inch narrow hem around this curve. Okay, I have my 5/8 of an inch narrow hem done on the curved edge here at the bottom of pattern piece number 1, and I just did a zigzag stitch here all the way around. The next thing that we're going to do is take our back. This is pattern piece number 7, and we're going to lay it right sides facing. Now we can pin at our shoulders as well as along the sides. Make sure that you match up your notches and pin in place. Once we have it pinned, now we can go ahead and stitch using a double stitch. So first you want to stitch along your 5/8 of an inch seam line, and then to do a double stitch, you come over 1/4 of an inch inside of your seam allowance. Don't go past your 5/8 of an inch stitch. Stay within the seam allowance, come over 1/4 of an inch, and then do another stitch. Then you can trim close to the second stitching. For me, I'm going to stitch along my 5/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to finish off my edge with the serger. Let's go ahead and stitch our shoulders and side seams now, and I will be using a zigzag stitch. Now that we have our side seams and shoulder seams sewn, again, I stitched it with a zigzag stitch, and I finished my edges off with my serger. Now we can go ahead and do a 5/8 of an inch narrow hem along the armhole as well as the neck edge of our top. So the same thing that we did for this front opening, we're going to do the same thing again for the armholes and the neck edge. You can go ahead and do that now, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, now that we have done our narrow hems along the neck edge as well as the armholes, so here's just a close-up of how mine looks here, and so it looks like along the inside. Again, I did use a zigzag stitch. The next thing we need to do is to start working on our front band, which is pattern piece number 8. The first thing we're going to do is with right sides facing, we're going to stitch between these circles here that we have transferred along the front. So I'm going to grab some pins, make sure I'm going through the circles, and we are going to stitch between the dots. So we also want to stitch coming down and then pivot at the large circles and stitch across, pivot again, and then stitch up. So we're making somewhat like a little rectangle here with stitching, pivoting, stitching across, and then coming back over here. Let's go ahead and stitch it in place now. All right, now that we have it stitched, we're going to go ahead and clip to the large circle. From the diagram, it looks like we're doing our diagonal clip on the outside of the stitch here. So I'm just going to clip diagonally to the large circle. And I'm going to trim down my seam. Once you have it trimmed, we can flip it right sides out. Okay, and now we can go to our pressing station and just press our seam. Okay, after you have it pressed, now we want to grab the back band. This right here is pattern piece number 9. We're going to lay these so that they are right sides facing like so. So open up the sides and we are going to pin this in place, making sure that you match up your notches along the side. And over here on this side here, you should have transferred 2 large circles. We're going to make sure that while we're stitching, we stitch to the dot, back stitch, leave this opening here, start back at the other dot, back stitch, and then continue stitching to the end, back stitching when you get there. For this side, you can just stitch straight down. I transferred circles on this side too, but we're not stopping on this side, we're only stopping on one side. So let's go ahead and pin. Okay, now that you have it all pinned, again on this side here, we are stitching straight down, we're not stopping. On the left side though, you want to make sure that you start and stop at your dots, keeping this between the dots open. Let's go ahead and do our sewing now. Okay, once you have your sides sewn on your band, again, make sure that you kept that opening between the dots. Then you can fold it with wrong sides facing like so and go ahead and give it a press. If you like, you can go to your sewing machine and do a basting stitch to hold the raw edges together. Once you have that done, the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and pin our band onto the top. So here's my top here, and with right sides facing, I'm going to be matching up my centers, my notches, my seams, and my dot. I'm going to make sure that I have my opening here. It needs to be along the outside. So you need to pin it like so. Again, here's my opening. It's facing out toward me. Right sides facing. Just going to slide that over. Now I can begin to match up my notches, dots, and seams. Just go ahead and start pinning everything in place. Okay, now that we have the band pinned onto the lower edge, we can go to the sewing machine. We want to stitch it using a double stitch. So again, if you do not have a serger, you can stitch along your 5/8 of an inch seam line, and then over in the seam allowance, you can come over 1/4 of an inch and do another stitch the same exact way and trim close to your second stitching. For me, I'm going to stitch along my seam line and use my serger as my second stitch. Let's go ahead and stitch our band in place now. Now that we have our band sewn on and attached, you can see here I stitched mine, then I went ahead and did my serge on the edge, and I pressed my band out with my seam going up. So this is how it looks now. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and cut a piece of 2-inch wide elastic, the length of your elastic guide, pattern piece number 10. Once you have that cut out, then you can grab a safety pin, pin it right onto one end, and we're going to find the opening that we left on the inside right here. And now you just want to push your elastic through the opening. Okay, now that you have pulled your elastic through the opening, next you want to go ahead and try it on. So I would recommend pinning both ends of the elastic together. Go ahead and trying it on, seeing if you need to adjust anything, if you need to put another piece of elastic in, maybe one that's a little bit longer, or if you need to trim some off. After you are satisfied with the fit, then you can remove your safety pin. And we need to secure the ends of our elastic. To do so, you want to lap your ends over like so and secure them. You can stitch them straight down, or if you prefer, you can stitch in a box to secure it. What you don't want to do is to secure it like this with the ends together. You want to make sure that they are lapped over. Also, before you secure it, make sure that your elastic did not twist while you were feeding it through the casing. Once you are happy with everything, go ahead and secure your elastic in place. Okay, after you have your elastic secured, you want to go ahead and distribute the fullness inside the casing. Make sure everything is nice and neat. And now we just need to close up our opening, so you can get a needle and thread and just go ahead and slip stitch your opening close. Once you have that done, then you are all done with your top. Again, this is view B on pattern McCall's M8369 or
M8368.
Well, that is all for the sew along, and I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you do not miss when the next McCall sew along goes live. Until then, blessings everyone. Bye.